Hi, Sarah.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Hello, and thank you for joining us for the first Rise and Thrive with EHE Health of the new year. It is a pleasure to have you. This is going to be an interactive series where we discuss all things health together. So, my name is Ester Paltielova. I'm a clinical review nurse here at EHE, and I'm proud to say that I'm also the lead nurse of our amazing Safe at Work program, where EHE has taken on a real hands on approach in keeping not only our own population safe with COVID-19, but population of other companies really trying to return to some semblance of normalcy at their workplaces. So I'm thrilled to be part of this program. I'm truly proud of all the work that we have done here and how much it has grown. And go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. So I am Sarah Irvin. I am a business coach based out of Aiken, South Carolina. I'm the founder of Powerhouse Coaching and Consulting. I help my clients by giving them simple tools that they can use to strengthen their mindset for success.
Awesome, awesome. And it's great to have you with us today. So for today's topic with the new year, we felt like it was appropriate for us to really discuss, how to move forward from everything that has transpired during 2020 for the entire world and not just for the nation. It was a tough year for everyone. I think we've all experienced some semblance of trauma, grief, adversity, and the entire world really felt it. Adjusting to homeschooling, working from home, the role changes that some people might have had to gone through. If you were going to the office, are you now a stay-at-home mom slash dad? Um, with all of that, I feel like we've all needed a bit of resilience to come through to the other side. And resilience is key in helping us thrive after all these traumas. It enables us as humans to stay positive through life transitions. Now, with the start of the new year, how can we reflect on 2020 and truly grow?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And if 2020 has taught us anything this past year, it is that we are so resilient and that we can come together. So my first suggestion going into this new year, we want to honor and process where we've been. Just like you said, we have transitioned to being virtual and at home and potentially homeschooling kids and being furloughed. There's all these changes that are going on, right? So we want to honor and acknowledge all that and process those emotions that we've been through. We don't want to just slide them under the rug. We want to truly take a moment to feel them, but then you want to use that energy that that energy that you maybe that pain or that struggle or whatever that is and use it as fuel to set the intention going in this new year to strengthen your mindset for resilience.
Wow, that's amazing. And how can you adjust when into that mentality? What does that process look like?
Yeah, so after you've set that intention, you've honored, you processed, and you've set the intention, hey, I'm going to set the intention. I'm going to strengthen my mindset. I'm going to work on that. That is a priority to me. You want to focus on what you can control, correct? Right?
Mhm.
So we have learned this year that we need to be able to adapt. And there's the social proof that we are able to adapt, right? So focus on, instead of focusing on the things that you cannot control, you want to focus on what you can control and then learn how to reframe those negative thoughts into something different, right? We're not talking about toxic positivity here, right? There are things that just aren't fun, but
Yeah.
we're talking about how you can reframe that and move forward in the things that you can control. Um, so that would be like the very second thing that I would do when really wanting to strengthen that resilience mindset.
And what are some examples of the things that we can control?
Yeah, so this is something that I think a lot of people kind of leave to the wayside. They forget self-care and self-love. That needs to be at the top of the priority, right? It's not selfish to take care of yourself and to love yourself. And so one little simple activity that I give to clients and I suggest you do today if you haven't taken the time to kind of love on yourself and divulge in some self-care is make a list of things that you love, patterns, colors, food you like to eat, things you like to buy, things that you like to do, right? And you make a list. I just want you to go crazy making that list. And then pick one or two things each week or three things if you're being a little risky and actually do those things to take care of yourself because you've got to take care of yourself first. The next thing you want to do is find a daily anthem. This kind of goes along, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard this with affirmations. What's this daily like what's the daily like anthem that you're playing in the back of your mind when things are a little crazy, right? We woke up this morning a little unsure of things, right? So there's a daily anthem that we've got to be playing in the back of our head to keep us moving forward. So write that out, have that somewhere visual, have that playing in the back of your head. You know, we all process things differently. We all learn. We all have our own way of doing that. So if you're visual, auditory, I don't care. I want you to have it ringing in the back of your head. Then you want to set your daily non-negotiables. What's a non-negotiable? What are the non-negotiables in your life? What are your core values? What are the things that are not negotiable when right? And so that could be simple things in your daily activity with your family, like dinner is at the table,
Yeah.
or that you only hire these certain people into your company that align with your core values. You need to identify what your daily non-negotiables are and stick to those core values, right? And then we have our daily routines. These are the things that we can be doing. You know, we've talked about self-care, we've talked about affirmations and that daily anthem, and then your non-negotiables, your core. But then you got to create these routines that are strengthening, right? So I've seen so many people talking coming into 2021 about, hey, I'm setting the intention and I'm working on my health. I'm going to eat better and I'm going to work out and I'm going to strengthen my muscles. But what we're not hearing a lot of is people saying, hey, in 2021, I'm going to strengthen my mindset this year. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to set that intention. And so that conversation needs to be open and had. And so there are tangible things that you can do, right? First, say it out loud. You're setting the intention to work and strengthen that mindset. And there's so many things like that could be moving your body every day. That could be yoga. That could be working out. That could be eating right. That could be all kinds of different things, meditation, journaling, and that list goes on, right? That's going to be unique to you. Those are all things that are going to strengthen that resilience mindset. Not only that resilience mindset, the mindset overall. And the last thing I want to end on, and I think I left it for the last because, and because it's such a huge thing, is gratitude, right? And
Yes.
so you hear this, you hear it so much. And I'm going to admit, I was the girl that bought the rose gold journal that said gratitude across it, and I wrote like, I'm happy for my car and my house and my health, right? I did that. I did that this year, and I found myself in like a week in, not feeling truly grateful for those things. Like I was writing them down, and they're things you know you're grateful for, right?
Yeah.
But I was losing the feeling of it. So I had to reframe that. And this is it's totally changed the game for me and for my clients is we take a moment each day to feel gratitude for something small. So this can be something like that coffee in the morning, that smell, that coffee in the morning, that silence. There's no kids, nothing going on, right? It
Yes.
could be the way the wind feels on your face or a jog, right? For me, just the other day, it was the way the light was shining in on my daughter's face, and she just looked up at me with this huge smile. And then there's that moment that I took to feel grateful. So I found that when we take the moment to feel gratitude each day, we start operating from a place of gratitude.
Because it changes our perspective,
It
correct?
does, yes, it is a complete changer, game changer when it comes to strengthening your mindset.
Well, that is amazing. That is amazing. And you say that one of the most important things when it comes to gratitude is really take a moment and sit and really think and feel about all these things, not just really, like you said, you took a notebook and you wrote it down, but really taking the time in the moment, and it reminds me a lot of what I do. I'll make this whole list. And like an inside joke for me. So my husband will see something and he'll say, "Oh my God, that looks great. Can you get the recipe?" And I'm like, "Yes." And even if I'm scrolling, I have so many recipes saved. Have I cooked any of these recipes? So it's one of those things, writing it down and saying you're going to do it. And that's great. And it gets you going and it gets the juices going, but actually executing it and actually putting it into place is really what the difference is. And feeling that gratitude that you talk about is really, really important to that mindset. And I agree with you 100%. All of those things are so important in maintaining the resilience.
Yeah, it is. And there are definitely so many things that can seem crazy within this past year, right?
Yes.
And and you see, and I have found myself like looking over here, down there, and comparing my life or where I'm at to somebody else. And so we have to stop that, and we have to really appreciate and honor where we're at, right? And we have to be grateful for where we're at there because there's so many good things. I look at 2020 and I see so much good has happened. I've seen a world come together like never before, and I am so grateful for that.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And, one of the things I really wanted you to touch on is doing all of these things for ourselves. One of the real challenges that many have faced that we don't really talk about while we are connected on social media, how can we stay connected during such a crazy time when everyone is so much going on, all these additional roles that everyone has now acquired, all of these changes? You say, yeah, we have adapted, and I think that we can all say we've all adapted in one way or another, whether you wanted to or not. So how can we really stay connected? How do we bring that picture all together and make sure that we don't start to feel lonely and too inside our heads?
I think 2020 taught us we're more connected than we ever were before. We experienced something as a world together. We experienced a trauma, not just a thing. We experienced a trauma together. And I think that unites us all in unique individual ways. And they're definitely don't isolate yourself, right? So
Yeah.
if you're now working from home and you're homeschooling, so we had like a little conversation going before we came into this. You
Mhm.
guys are, and we're all kind of dealing with similar, we're working from home, new situations, we may have kids there. I personally do. You're not on an island. If this has taught us anything, we are not alone. There's other people going through the same things. Reach out. Don't hesitate. And we have this great thing. Yeah, and we might not be able to go in public, right? And go somewhere, go to those gym classes that we loved or to those networking events that we love. But I have made more connections and more friendships in this year than I ever have in my life because it is unlimited, right? So I think the first thing that when you're trying to keep that human connection is don't forget to reach out. Don't isolate yourself and feel like you're on an island. You've got to take the first step and reach out and find those people where you're at, where you want to be, right? And just take that first step of reaching out and staying connected with those people.
And what are some of the coping skills that you would need in order to acquire all of this and to really say that I'm going to better myself this year, and not just this year, but every year? I want to grow. I want to be grateful for everything. What are some of the coping skills that you really need to possess in order to make this a success?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of everything that we've talked about. And I really want to, like, before I go into this, I really want to make a statement. We're all unique individuals. Okay. We all have a certain way we like to learn things. We all have the way we like to process, the type of entertainment we like to take in. So I see too many times people will try to copy and paste a method and put it into their life or read a book and then they're not seeing the results, right? You're unique. So I'm going to give these things that you can do, but make them unique to you. Make them work for you. So I just want to start that off. But it's everything that we've talked about. It's having that intention, right? It's honoring process, going through those, right? Not hiding those emotions. It's setting the intention for your mindset. It's doing those daily rituals, those daily routines, right? It's connecting, it's journaling, it's moving your body, whatever that is, operating from a place of gratitude. It's reframing, learning to reframe. And as you reframe, that gets easier and easier going forward, right? So feel a little weird when you're trying to reframe a negative thought into a positive one or a negative situation into a positive one. But as you move forward, that will get easier and easier because what you're doing is rewiring the way you process certain emotions, right? It's a mix of all of the things we've been talking about. And you've got to find what works for you and how you can implement that into your life that fits with your personality and with your schedule, right? And I think that's really important is making it unique to you. But I'm not the first one. I'm not reinventing the wheel here with these things that I'm saying. You're going to hear other people in my industry saying the same things because it's true, and it is that simple, right? It is as simple as setting intentions. It's self-care, self-love. It's journaling, meditating, taking a moment for yourself, your daily non-negotiables. It's having gratitudes and having routines. It's all of that. And it's, I think, more so the working on it each day than anything,
The
you know?
consistency. The
Yeah, it's
consistency.
the consistency.
Okay. Now you discuss, specifically every single person is unique, right? And we've all gone through this in a different way. We've touched on it in the beginning of this, of all the different things that could have possibly gone wrong, whether you do have kids, don't have kids, your own work situation. What would you recommend to really place it all together and bring it home for the people that truly had trauma a little more than others? Some people have lost their home, not some, many. Some people, many people have lost their homes this year. Many people are unsure how they're going to make the next payment for their mortgage, or if they're going to even have a home to pay a mortgage with. So many Americans have lost their businesses. What about for those people? How would you advise them they grow after those specific traumas that are a little more possibly, significant to that person because it's their livelihood, for example, and they know that they're not going to be able to feed their children. Real, significant traumas specific to those people. What would you say if someone is really feeling, if they're getting anything out of this live, if someone's really feeling like they really went through it this year and they just feel lost and stuck, and while they are trying to do all of these things, there is some part of trauma that we learn through only therapy that you have to actually divulge in the trauma and be able to kind of try to grow from it. What would you say to those people as a coach? I myself am very interested in this. How do you grow from that trauma is really the question.
Yeah, well, and I've said it over and over again, you have to honor where you've been. You have to acknowledge it. You have to face it dead on. If that's ugly crying, if that's journaling it out, if that's talking to a professional, if that's working with a coach, I don't care how you do it. You have to face what you've been through head on, and you have to process those emotions. But people, when they're experiencing trauma, you have two ways you can handle it. You can live there and let it destroy everything, or you can move forward. And you and I both kind of talked before this, and we've experienced our own traumas aside from this terrible trauma that's gone on to a lot of people that are in that situation. But honor and process first. And if that means talking to somebody, if that means hiring a professional, I don't care how you do it. Honor and process first, and then don't overthink it. You just have to take the first step. You just have to take the first step. You don't have to have it figured out, right? You don't have to have everything figured out, but you cannot, and I say this with confidence, you cannot stay there,
Yes.
and you cannot stay there, or it's a cycle that will never end. You will completely keep going on this rabbit wheel of negative, and you're going to get more and more of what you don't want happening. And we've seen that in our home. My husband's in the healthcare, so we've had that trauma in our home, where uh, you know, my husband, was working right here on the front lines of COVID, and it felt scary, and it was scary, right? And we're seeing people that we know and love, and they're passing away. That is scary and that is bad. And I'm not saying to ignore that. I am saying you have a choice. You have to honor, you have to process, and you have to take that first step. You have to take that first step. And that would be my big takeaway is just take the first step. If you can't do all these things right now, take the first step. You're going to see so much change just doing that.
That's amazing. Yeah, I agree. I agree. You would have to go persevere, and the only way to rise and thrive is to really go ahead and go to that next step and changing the mindset. I think everything that I can take out of this is that it's really here. And if you're really willing to actually do the work, you will be able to rise and thrive. It's just going to be specific to you. I feel like some people get lost because they look to others, or they look to what they are so comfortable with. And I think comfort is where, is the danger zone. And when you're no longer comfortable because it's either ripped away from you or outside situations or whatever the case may be, you immediately, persevere to keep yourself safe by backing away and say, hold on, I'm not comfortable anymore. And some people just stay there in that feeling of discomfort. And it's so important to have the tools that you have touched on today. And you said you're not reinventing the wheel. We've heard of these things before, but it's really about applying it. It's just like saying, diet and exercise. We all say it, and there's these, so many quick fixes that you'll hear about and this and that. And at the end of the day, each and every one of them will have failed. And at the end of the day, somebody will say to you, it's hard work. It's hard work. You have to put in the work. It's diet and exercise. You have to eat right. You have to go to the gym, whatever that may be for you. There is not going to be a shortcut. There's not going to be a shortcut. And I think one of my favorite sayings is by Warren Buffett when he said, you can't make 9 babies in a month. You're going to make one baby in 9 months. And that's the process. And that's the way it is. And I think this, in terms of what we have gone on, with each other as a society, as a nation, and as a world, as one, I think it's so important to know these tools and to have them, because while we're all in it together, we all have our individual journeys. And these are all incredible skills to actually hone in on, to develop for the upcoming years, and to really say, this is what's going on, but this is what I'm going to do about it. And I think it's amazing that it all starts in the mindset.
Oh, it definitely does, and I think that's with any goal. I really wanna talk about that here. That, you have to get your mindset for anything. That's in business, that's in your health, that is in your livelihood, literally. It all starts in here, and a lot of times we're creating things up here that aren't our reality, or they don't have to be our reality, right? And I've seen so many amazing women that are in those situations that you've talked about that I've worked with this year, that they lost their jobs. They were on the brink of losing their homes, and they started businesses. They quit, they lost this job that they thought was going to be their forever thing, but then they started their passion, right? They started their passion, they're doing what they love, and they completely have transformed their life. Like, this is happening, and these aren't people that have extraordinary skills that you can't possess. It all started in their mindset. That's where it was. That's the difference, is they're just taking these little steps and strengthening those mindset muscles, or that those brain muscles, as I like to call that. But they're not special. I'm not special, right? Like,
It's just
there's no.
amazing what they're capable of, basically, right?
Yeah, and I think we're all. I guess the point to that is that we're all capable of that, and it's just tweaking little things. It doesn't have to be an overnight mindset transformation. It just has to be one time you reframed, and then you did it again the next day, right?
And you've probably applied this to your own success, to your own mindset has changed so much probably, and you're probably adapting as you go along with your own business and with everything else going on with you. Everything that you're learning, you're probably adapting.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So I started my entrepreneurial journey with, that tragedy and that trauma that we talked about. And in a short, it was a near death experience for myself and for my daughter that resulted in her being in the hospital for a year, and me quitting my career as a paralegal, right? And thinking, what am I going to do? And do I want to be in the back of a car with regret again? Do I want to be again in the back of a car living with regrets, not doing what I love, right? And so that trauma really like reframed, and I said, okay, I lived through this, so I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna set this intention, and I am going to move forward and do the things that I love, and I'm not gonna live with regret. And then we had, I thought I had it all good, and I tell that story, and then COVID happened, and we had to shut 5 physical locations down in that company, right? We had to completely shut them down, and we had to look at shutting them down or furloughing employees. And you think, wow, I never thought that would happen, right? And I thought I would just have this strong, I'd just be like all happy about it, and be able to just push forward. No, I had to take these same simple steps and work through and process just like anybody else would, because it has been hard, right?
Absolutely.
But I guarantee you, if you just take a few little things just each day, that you will be in such a better space. And I'm constantly having to do that in my business, obviously. And I think we all are in our lives, our businesses, our work.
Yes, absolutely. And I have to say, I truly relate to you on that. Actually, before I came to EHE, I was a nurse on a telemetry unit. And unfortunately, right before I had actually just started working there, both of my parents got diagnosed with something. And it was really, really life changing for me. And after the passing of one of my parents, I really was lost for a long time. I didn't even know if that was what I still wanted to do. And part of the reason of why they got sick was because there was no health, preventative care. And that's how I got into preventative health at EHE. I came to the company because that shot out at me when I found out about them. And when I inquired about a position and I came here, I was so happy that there was actually a company, one of which, by the way, no other company is really doing what we're doing on that level, is actually focusing strictly on preventative health. Okay, so whether it's taking care of yourself, the colonoscopies, the pap smears, we do all of that. And I felt like it was really, really just like pulling to me. And I felt like I can take all of my past experiences, all my own trauma, and really, really grow from it and come somewhere that I really felt passionate about. And I would have never left in a million years. I felt very, afraid. This is a different kind of company. This is a different type of nursing. Am I going to be okay here? But I did a lot of what me and you discussed. I used a lot of those tools. Um, Still working on some of those tools when it comes to other areas of where it has helped me. But one of those first steps was really to write it all down and get out of that comfort level and to say, I can either be stuck in this misery and keep on reliving of everything that happened bad to me and say, poor me, or I can use it and move forward and see if I can actually make something out of this and really, really follow my passion. And even when COVID hit and a lot was happening with our company and some of our clinics had to close, we were able to kind of help out when it comes to COVID-19 and really, really dedicate a lot with through our Safe at Work program. And I felt so, we have this feeling of helplessness, I want to say, when something like this happens. And I felt so helpless for such a long time, especially if there's someone that's ill with COVID, being home, not being able to kind of be on the front lines. There was a part of me that's like, I feel like I want to help, but I don't know how to help. And it was incredible how inspiring it felt. I don't even have the words for it, but I felt like, wow, I'm really doing something to give back to this problem. And I felt this is what it feels like to do something that you're happy doing. This is what it feels like to be passionate about something that you're doing. And it has really transcribed into everything else that I do. If I'm not passionate about it, I no longer do it. And there have been so many things in my own life that I have to say I have gratitude for, even through COVID. Just spending time with my family, even homeschooling. I was able to get to know my kids in a different way this year, as frustrating as it was. And there were sometimes more frustrating moments than better moments, right? To be real, to be real. But there are also so many other things that, just being in the holidays, just with your own family, just getting to know each other again. There's so many things to have been grateful for, that 2020 has brought, that I feel is very important to bring up. That while we do have all these traumas and all these things, we have to also look into the good of those traumas. What did 2020 bring to us? And like you started off with our live, there was a huge sense of unity, so much positivity going around, and really all of us just in it together, I think created this feeling of wholesomeness amongst all of us, that, what, we're all really in this together. We're all stuck in it together. Let's try to move forward and create a better place.
Yes, I totally agree. And 2020, I really think it's going to be, going into we're in 2021 now. You're going to see so many companies being built right now, people starting new businesses. You're going to be seeing so much good come out of this trauma. And I really want to say one more thing on, if you're really struggling and none of this is helping and you're just like, I can't see past it. You don't understand my situation. And I have been there where I'm like, yeah, you're saying it will get better, but it's not, right? I want you to think about, if you don't develop this resilience mindset, if you don't move forward from where you're at, how is that going to affect everybody around you in your family, right? So you can control yourself. You can control what's going on in your household. And that's where massive change can happen. And so I urge you to take that first step, because you do have a control of a lot, even though it seems like you don't. We have so much control in our lives and the impact that we have on other people.
And you hit it right on the head. Thank you so much, Sarah, for all of this, really. And are there any, let me see if there's any questions that were posted. Nope, no questions. Sarah, it was incredible having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for everything. Take
See you
care.
guys.